Welcome to the Bowie Business Journal. I'm your host, Pauline Marford with the Greater Bowie Chamber of Commerce. Today, I'd like to welcome Ann Hayward, Realtor with Caldwell Banker and the owner of Manage for You. Welcome to our program today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, so how is the real estate market doing?
Well, the real estate market is really robust right now. A lot of people might want to think that it's favoring sellers because of the activity, but it's not uncommon, for example, to see multiple offers placed on a property or to see them, be sold in quite a short time. But for those of us who remember 11% mortgages and higher, mortgage rates are still very low compared to what they were historically, and so it should be looked at as a good time for all.
Okay. And you got into the real estate profession how?
I'm second generation. My father, two of my uncles were in the real estate business. Matter of fact, my father and one of my uncles were competitors.
Really?
Yes, within the same, almost within blocks of each other. So I grew up in the real estate business. I grew up looking at houses, looking at property, walking through houses and construction, with my father and the other uncle who worked as a sales professional in my father's brokerage. And so to get out of the house at 18 to go off to college, my siblings and I all had to pass the real estate exam. It was the only way we were going off to college. It's like, you will take this exam. So college, I spent the bulk of my time in documentary film and theatrical film production on both coasts. And as I started to cut back on that, it seemed for me, and I had been spending a lot of time, my spare time, restoring furniture, trying to redo houses. I just seemed to naturally fall back on that. And part of the background of film and theater was that I had learned so much about color and design and things like that. And I was redoing friends' houses and redoing their yards and things like that. And so it occurred to me, maybe you need to go back to what it is you really knew. And so that's what I did. And I've been fortunate in that I'm licensed in Maryland, Virginia, and DC, and was fortunate enough to go to work for Caldwell Banker Residential Brokerage.
Well, I'm sure they're fortunate to have you.
Well, it's a wonderful experience, and they're a wonderful brokerage.
Oh, good. That's nice to hear. When is a good time to buy and sell a home? Is there any time of year or?
Well, during the spring, there's a lot of activity. People seem to think that that's a really good time. And there's actually no time when it's not good to buy or sell. The spring is good because of the activity. The summer is best for sellers because it's the least time of inconvenience for them, and the weather is better. And the fall is really like crisp and cool and energetic. And a lot of people still want to be in a new house or a new home for the holidays. So there's never a time when it's not good.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
I purchased my house in September, so it was right Labor Day weekend going in, so it was a wonderful weekend to move in.
Exactly, and the last home I purchased, I moved in on Thanksgiving weekend.
Okay. And tell me how you work with clients.
I try to personalize and be really empathetic with potential clients. The buying and selling of a home is really, really stressful. I try to personalize my services by trying to combine compassion and empathy with clients' emotions and a good business sense. I explain that I work with Caldwell Banker, one of the best brokerages in the world. We've got the best online footprint, and explain what it means and what I bring with that to a client. Selling a house, no matter what the reason, can be stressful.
Very true.
Yeah, it can be very, very stressful. And I try to educate them on understanding the difference between renovation costs and value and what it's really worth. And I emphasize the fact that this is a major business transaction, probably one of the largest business transactions you'll ever complete. And one needs to have excellent negotiating skills, and that's what I hope I bring with a lot of sensitivity to the process.
What tips and processes do you offer to potential buyers?
Start early.
Yeah.
Do your research. Check your credit. Look at local lenders because local lenders have more experience and more knowledge about the area you will be interested in, as opposed to some of those major, I don't want to call any names, but advertise on television, online loan facilitators. You need to investigate incentive programs. Are you a first-time home buyer? Will your employer assist you with down payment? And research is really the best part about it. And understand that it's not going to happen overnight. You know, the more research you put into it, the more you work on who you're selecting to represent you, the better off you're going to be in the end. You want to deal with someone who's experienced, who's knowledgeable, who's confident, who's got the skills, and got the resources of a brokerage behind them.
Very smart. Now, if you take that same question, though, and with the sellers, what tips do you have for the process for a seller?
One thing that I forgot to mention is the pre-approval process for the buyer. Yes, in this market, with what we're seeing happening locally, getting pre-approved is almost a necessity. Sellers won't take you seriously unless they see that pre-approval. Without that pre-approval, you really don't know how much house you can afford. So you don't want to be out there looking at million-dollar houses on an $800,000 budget.
Correct. And just because you can afford it doesn't mean you should spend that much.
Exactly.
You have to decide how much you like going out to dinner, the movies, vacationing versus your mortgage payment.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Those are
really important things to be dealing with.
So with moving, and this is embarrassing to say, but I think I've moved something like 23, 25 times around this side of the Mississippi. So I've had to pack up and downsize quite a bit and only take what's most important to me. And that's really hard to make those decisions on my own. So how do you take somebody like me who might have a lot of things and say, honey, you're going to a 2-bedroom condo. How do you talk about organizing and downsizing with them and doing it gently? Because our possessions mean something to us.
Well, I start off by telling you that if you're selling a home, model homes that look like model homes sell best, sell fastest. And so part of that process is you need to declutter, declutter, declutter.
So nothing on horizontal surfaces.
I wouldn't say that totally, but you also need to depersonalize. You know, what you think of as, you know, Uncle Sid's favorite army sword hanging on the wall may not be attractive to a potential buyer. So you need to depersonalize and take down some of those family photographs that are strung all over the place and prep it. And that takes time, and a lot of time, and a lot more time than most people think, you know. So unless you're a professional declutterer, you need to allow the time to do it. And it's also a very emotional process, because getting rid of one's personal things, and I've done that.
Yes.
You know, I've had to downsize my own living style and space. It can be traumatic.
Right.
Yeah.
And we've talked a lot about what you do with Caldwell Banker being a realtor, but you also are the owner of Managed for You. What does that company do?
That Managed for You reorganizes and creatively redefines clutter and objects and things that need to be repositioned for people who are in some sort of transition.
So more than just staging.
Right.
This is an
right.
actual...
We're basically not stagers. We help you in filing management, paper management, space planning, donations, revenue generation for items that you might want to sell that to help finance whatever is your next stage.
Paper management, is that a kind way of saying recycling, going through? What exactly is paper management?
Paper management could be anything from helping you prepare your paperwork for taxes to tossing out the stuff that you don't need.
Okay.
Okay? It could be helping you hang on to the papers you generated from a lifetime and help you determine what you actually do not need. You don't necessarily need the deed from your grandfather's house from 30, 40 years ago.
I have the bill of sale for the lumber for my Minnesota house that was built in 1901. It was $105. I can never get rid of that paper. So that would go into an I Love Me book? Or what would you do with that? Would you say frame it?
That would go into an I Love Me book or frame it.
Or send it to the person who owns the house.
For the new house.
Okay.
For the new house you're moving into, not the one you're trying to sell.
Okay. See, it's difficult. I'm sorry. It's a wonderful business, but I can only imagine what you endure.
It's interesting sometimes because we work with anyone from hoarders to minimalists or wannabe minimalists.
That's me. I'm a wannabe minimalist.
And we work with millennials, we work with seniors, and we may be helping someone plan their first apartment, what do they need for it, or we may be helping someone who's retiring get rid of the 65 pots and pans they've collected over 50 years in the kitchen that are under the cabinet and everywhere else.
So how do you handle, we just accumulate so much stuff in our lives because we really don't want to give, everything means something to us. So-and-so gave us this. But now we're getting storage bins to hold our extra stuff. You're coming into homes that have not just a beautiful home, I'm sure, but then they have a storage bin worth of stuff too. You go through that.
We can go through storage bins, garages, your off-site office, your in-home office, all of those things. The playroom with the kids' toys, and the kids are now grown and gone.
Stop. I have a whole big trunk full of Legos. And yeah, I'm not ready to get rid of those yet. Yeah. See, I want to be a minimalist. So if anybody would like some Legos,
just call
donate it.
Exactly, donate it. But we run the full gamut of items in a house. We're also very good at looking at pieces and determining what is of value to the homeowner or to the estate person or whatever. And we have the resources to help you bring those things to where they need to go for disposition or for sale or for holding. It's been quite a journey. I've enjoyed it immensely, and I'm glad I spent all that time on all those movie sets looking at period furniture.
Sorry, I know that's a little time. What is your advice to somebody that does need to declutter and organize?
Start early. Have a goal. Make sure everyone in your house is on the same wavelength. Because you could be in a situation where Jane wants to declutter, but John wants to keep everything. And so you have to collaborate, and it's because it's fraught with challenges and stresses. you have to sit down and have a goal. And then if I tell you all my other trade secrets, I won't have a business anymore.
Well, I'm a firm believer, never get rid of somebody else's stuff. You can put it in a box and show it to them and say, please, when you're ready to get rid of this, I'll help you. But yeah, don't think you're doing them a favor by...
No, you could be creating way more challenges down the road than you ever thought of or wanted to deal with.
Correct. So give us some safety tips on summer. So with whether or not you're selling a house and things you need to put away for potential buyers to come through, or just your general safety tips.
Well, the first thing to deal with during the summer is to locate where your first aid kit is, because summer is just rampant with physical and medical challenges. So starting, say, outdoors with the barbecue grill. If it's gas grill, check the hoses, check the little pipings and the fittings and make sure they don't leak or are corroded.
Oh, yeah.
Don't put this may sound like a no-brainer, but don't put the barbecue grill next to the house or next to the deck.
How many sidings have you seen melted because the grill is right there?
How many fires have been started out there? So have a cute little bucket that's got water and another cute little bucket that can take hot coals or the charcoal, and a fire extinguisher.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because we keep them in our kitchen, but not necessarily
not
near a
necessarily outside. And a lot of fires start that way. A lot of damage is done to property that way. One of the other things people don't seem to think about as we move into summer, we've had a lot of rain this spring. A lot of lawns have furrows in them. And as you decide you want to entertain outside, or even if you're showing the house, check for holes in the ground.
Oh yeah.
Between critters and the rain and the snow and the water washing stuff away, a lot of ankles are broken in the backyard because somebody stepped into a hole or a rut in the yard. It doesn't help it show well, doesn't help you. Now, if talking of critters, if you've got bees, wasps, spiders, all of those things, you either need to see how you remove them safely or call in a pro.
Okay. And unplug things before you play with them. Anytime something is jammed or stuck, just please unplug it. So we've gone over barbecue grills, decks, a little bit of decks about not having your grill up there, but what safety?
Well, beyond decks, nails. A lot of decks have nails. A lot of fencing has nails. Check, see that the nails are nailed in properly. That there's no wood that's going to cause splinters for those who are walking barefoot or running their hands around decks and kids running around. What the other thing about a deck is to remember that you need space no wider than 4 inches in it, so you don't want some youngster's head or neck getting trapped.
Isn't the rule of thumb, correct me if I'm wrong, like a soda can?
Yeah.
Is that it? If you can, if it's bigger than a soda can, you need to put an extra ring.
Basically.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, and check your railings. That's a big too. What about mulch?
Oh, mulch is serious business. You know, everybody's out in the spring and they're putting the mulch, and a lot of people don't realize that the mulch can create termites, ants, etc. So you should keep the mulch 4 inches away from your house. Okay. From the side of the house to protect the house from the mulch. And a lot of people just stack it right up there.
Yeah. And there's some alternatives to our wood mulch. Pine needles look very pretty and they smell good too. But again, they have issues with insects also. But still, it's another look and it's attractive. Yeah. We have play equipment.
Yes.
So when you're buying and selling homes, Is that part of, do you know if that's part of the inspection process?
It, it, it may convey, it may convey with the property. It probably is not part of your normal inspection process because you're not necessarily selling that. It's not considered real property. The play equipment is personal property.
Okay.
So the buyer, if it's a buyer, needs to think about that seriously. Is this play equipment in good shape? The homeowner and or seller needs certainly to check it and see if it's in good shape. And I won't even talk about swimming pools. Tips for inside safety.
Okay.
Inside the house, you need to look at the electrical outlets and make sure they're good before you start plugging in fans and portable air conditioners, and tighten up those window screens. So because this is the point at which the windows go up, people are letting in fresh air, and children are leaning through the windows.
Yes.
And you don't want them to fall. We also do garage and estate sale planning. We help with moving preparations. We help with online sales and a variety of things to help one transition into the next level of one's living or just to stay in place.
What was your first real estate transaction as a professional?
Oh, that's so long ago. I don't think I even remember.
Really?
Really. But my favorite was sitting on the first remote settlement where the owner wasn't there. My buying partner, who's my brother, who's also a real estate professional, was not there. And it was in Florida.
Okay.
So that was, I think, the favorite one that I've been through, and that was as a consumer.
Okay.
So it was an entirely different experience because I had to go to Florida to do it. Someone had to go.
Well, I don't know how many people in Bowie know that I carry my real estate license. I don't keep it active in Maryland, but I was showing a house in the Deep South, and probably one of the funniest stories that thinking back on now was showing this, what seemingly on the surface was a beautiful house. And I went into the restroom to take a look, and right by the shower tub stall, I about fell through the subfloor. It had just rotted away.
Oh, no.
So there's the importance of having home inspections, because had I not walked on that particular area, who knows what could have happened. But the house was absolutely stunning, and there were just flaws that you can't cover with. We can probably cut that out. But
one of the more interesting things that happened recently is a colleague and I were on our way to an open house, and the house was just gorgeous. But along the way, very close to us, I guess a hawk picked up a snake and flew it across the windshield of the car, and we sort of just looked at each other and went, okay,
I'm done here.
But the whole process is fascinating. I personally love looking at houses. I love the architecture. I love seeing good architecture. I love the remodeling process, and that's something that's also important, and that's something that should be mentioned for both buyers and sellers, is the cost of renovation versus the value. And both the buyer and the seller should do their research, their due diligence and research to find out what type of renovations will generate what type of value. And so as a buyer, you want to look at that in case there's some things you want to do to a house. So what do I do first, and what's going to be worth more to me in the process of doing it? And as a seller, potential seller, you need to look at it and think about, well, I put a theater room in, but putting a theater room in may not be worth as much as having remodeled a kitchen or a bathroom in the long
Absolutely.
end.
And
It's personal to you, but it doesn't mean it means anything else to anybody else. And also to sellers, you have to explain to them, don't take it personally.
Yeah.
You know, don't take it personally.
I had purchased a house in Pennsylvania, and I offered less money for it than another couple that had gone through, but the owners were there for both tours. And the one couple shredded every detail of the house, where when I walked through, it was, oh my gosh, look at the tin ceiling. And it did need a lot of work. But when the owners are there, you really do have to be careful what you say. And they actually sold it to me with a lower bid because they could see me in the house over somebody who didn't love their dream. So we have to be careful what we say.
You have to be careful with what you say. You have to be careful about your comments. And quite often it helps to write a letter with your offer explaining why you like the house and what the house means to you. And that's part of the personal part of the business. You know, the emotional part of the business, the resourceful part, where as an agent you have total due diligence to either representing the buyer or representing the seller and doing the best you can for them. You know, and so it's really important to emotionally connect and have your client connect with you and understand that you're going to do your best for them.
Yeah, you're right, and it is such an emotional investment. It's an expensive investment, it's an emotional investment, and you're right, research.
Exactly.
And not just for us to stay up on the market trends and what's going on as agents, but for the people that are buying and selling. Know what your homes are going for around you, price-wise, what they're renting for, who's renovated what, and what have they done. If you see your neighbor doing something to their house, ask, can I see the color floors you put in? Do I want to put light or dark floors in my own house? Well, you can look at theirs. I love showing off what I've done in my house.
And at Caldwell Banker, we have so many resources and research tools that we use, and we're constantly being trained and retrained in certain areas like pricing. And one of the important things is that houses that are what they call aggressively priced sell faster. And the client ends up getting more out of it, because if you're priced too high and it takes a couple months of lowering your price and lowering your price and lowering your price to sell, to finally get at that right price, and in the meantime you've got carrying charges, mortgage, insurance, etc.
Stress. The stress of it not selling and having to have your house immaculate every time you leave. Another Saturday, we're not at home. Another Tuesday night. I'm with you. If it's priced right, it sells, and it's just worth it.
When you look at the figures, you've made more money than going through that process that some other agent may tell you, oh yes, I can get you that amount, when houses in that area that look like yours aren't going for that amount. You know, so what we try to do is educate all of our clients, either as buyers or as sellers, so that we're doing the best for them.
And thank you so much for joining us on the Bowie Business Journal. And thank you.